Okay, this is going to be Devil's Den, part 16. We just did part 15, which was Tipton Park, and we're standing here on the walking trail that leads from Devil's Den right through what was Tipton Park, which is in this area here now. And we're heading back here toward the wood lines, and what we're going to do today is we're going to look at the Devil's Kitchen. This was the site where Vincent's Brigade skirmished with the 4th and 5th Texas Infantry on July 2nd of 1863. The monument on top of Little Round Top, which is the 44th New York, which is a castle, their Captain Lucius Larrabee, Company B of the 44th New York, was actually killed during that skirmish action on July 2nd. And this area is known as the Devil's Kitchen. There's not a lot of whole information why it's called the Devil's Kitchen. I will say this, I've been up here on several occasions, and no matter what time of the year you come into this area and you walk into the cracks and crevices of these rocks, it's actually very cool. So, you know, as a kitchen, you have a refrigerator, and you keep your food cold in the refrigerator. This kitchen sits off here in the wooded area, which wasn't as wooded at the time, but still, in between the rocks, it's kind of cool. Now, you do have to be careful coming out into this area, because this is one of those areas on the Gettysburg National Military Park where there are some poisonous snakes. And from time to time, you'll see a snake here and there. So if you do venture back in this area, please be careful and stay alert. And as I'm walking here on this path right now, and it's close to 90 degrees out here today, I would say it feels probably 65 or 70 here where I'm standing. So as soon as we get into this wooded area, it begins to cool down, really good. Now the stone wall that we will be passing was actually built by Confederate soldiers on the evening of July 2nd, late in the evening on July 2nd, in the morning of July 3rd. That's just remnants of that wall. It's a little bit of a walk, so like I said, if you do venture up here, just be careful, keep on the alert. And I will continue this video on the next part, starting from this vantage point. 17, the walk to the Devil's Kitchen. And as we continue our walk, and we're looking at Devil's Den in front of us, as you continue to walk up to the trail, and when you come to these double logs here on the road, you can actually see, if you turn to the right, the rocks of the Devil's Kitchen. And there's two ways to get to it. You could either cut through the woods, which we're going to do now, or you could continue on straight up to the big round top parking area, and there will be another trail that would take you back there. Now in the summertime, when there's a lot more trees out and ticks and bugs and things like that, I would recommend continuing to walk up to the Devil's Den parking area and then down the trail. However, since it's April and the winter just got over and the trees aren't in bloom yet, I think it's safe that we can venture on here through the woods. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to walk over to the Devil's Kitchen here, which is just here east of Devil's Den. Devil's Den being in that direction over there. Now, the Devil's Kitchen is very similar to Devil's Den. It's an outcropping of diabase granite material like we talked about in the original Devil's Den Part 1 video. And the rocks rival those of Devil's Den. However, it's a little bit more spooky because they're usually in the shade and it's very cool. Thus the name Devil's Kitchen. In a kitchen, you usually have a water source. In a kitchen, you usually have a refrigerator. This is kind of like the refrigerator of Devil's Den. It sits in the shade. If you climb into the crevices of these rocks, it's much cooler than if you were out in the Devil's Den area. Of course, with not the trees being in leaf right now, there is more sunlight. This is going to be Devil's Den Part 17 on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. 18 on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook, and we're here at the Devil's Kitchen, just east of Devil's Den. And these rocks are very spooky because they're really set up in shades, and they have perfectly smooth walls that are pretty well at right angles. And unlike Devil's Den, this area was never developed. There was never roads brought through it. There weren't rocks mined from it for monuments. And it is a spookier area. It is also an area where there are snakes, so you do have to be careful. And you can see down there's a lot of caverns, just like in the Devil's Den area. And as we continue our walk here, one of the front door, as we like to call it, to Devil's Den would be here, looking back this way. And it's an area that you can go into. Again, there's a lot of caverns in here that are deep, and they're very cool. As I'm walking through here now, the temperature has dropped significantly. It's actually probably, instead of being in the 60s, it's probably in the low 40s. And again, as you can see, the walls are at perfect right angles. Very damp, very cool, very eerie, and very spooky. And this is one of those off the beaten path places of the Devil's Den area that not many people know about, and even people that do, a lot of them don't visit. Again, these rocks are, a lot of them are just as large boulders as you would see in Devil's Den. And because of the time of the year that we're at, we can actually look down in here, and through these trees you can actually see the rocks of Devil's Den. This has been Devil's Den Part 18 here at the Devil's Kitchen on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. Devil's Den Part 19, Secrets of the Battlefield on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. And I'm here actually in Frederick, Maryland. And now you probably say, why do a video on Gettysburg or about Devil's Den when you're in Frederick, Maryland? And the reason is this boulder here that you see in front of us, or this monument that's made from a boulder, rather, sits here at Prospect Hall, which is the highest point in Frederick, Maryland, which was also known as Red Hill. And our Secrets of the Battlefield series, as well as our Devil's Den, brings me here today. The front of this plaque reads, Major General George Gordon Meade took command of the Army of the Potomac under orders from President Lincoln 700 feet north of this marker, Prospect Hall, on June the 28th, 1863. He pursued the Confederates into Pennsylvania, and at Gettysburg on July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, fought the decisive battle of the Civil War. This plaque is incorrect, and I'll explain that in a minute. On the right side of the monument, there's another plaque, and thus the reason for our Devil's Den series. This boulder was taken from a point near Devil's Den on the battlefield of Gettysburg. This boulder here was taken from the Gettysburg battlefield, placed here in Frederick, Maryland. Therefore, it was in the Gettysburg battlefield at the time of the battle, therefore part of the battlefield of Gettysburg. It was dedicated as a monument to George Gordon Meade, who took command of the Army of the Potomac under orders from President Lincoln, which that part of it is correct. However, from everything here down, it is incorrect. He did not receive the orders from President Lincoln 700 feet over here at Prospect Hall. He actually received those orders several miles to our east near the Monocacy battlefield at a place called Arcadia. He was awoken at 3 a.m. in the morning by a colonel, and you can go back and watch our series on Pipe Creek Circular, and I give the name of that colonel, but he was actually awakened by a colonel, told he had bad news, and that news was that he was taking over command of the Army of the Potomac, which had been in trouble for some time. He then moved with his staff to this hill and this hall here, this mansion rather, which was at that time the Army of the Potomac's commanding general, Joseph Hooker. And Hooker was informed of President Lincoln's order. Hooker resigned here, and Meade accepted the resignation and began command of the Army of the Potomac. And then, of course, this part is correct. He pursued the Confederates into Pennsylvania and to Gettysburg, July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 1863, and fought the decisive battle of the Civil War. This has been Secrets of the Battlefield and Devil's Den, Part 19, the Meade Monument on Red Hill in Frederick, Maryland, on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. Den area. I'm looking at Devil's Den in front of me, and I am standing on the Elephant Rock. Elephant Rock is one of the biggest rocks to the south of Devil's Den. This is one of the neatest, what I call secrets in the battlefield of Gettysburg. There's Devil's Den. In the distance you can see Little Round Top, and then below the slaughter pit where Plum Run runs, and that stream was stained blood red during the Battle of Gettysburg. Now on this Elephant Rock, this area of Devil's Den, of course, has always been very picturesque. Sometime in 1849, a local man named David Forney, who lived here, who's on the 1850 census in Gettysburg, his occupation was an artist. Sometime in 1849, which was 14 years before the Battle of Gettysburg, he stood on this very rock, most likely painting what we're looking at right now, Devil's Den, or this big outcropping of rocks. While he was up here, he carved his name in the rock, which I'm going to go down to now. It says D. Forney, 1849. This is the only pre-battle carving on the Gettysburg battlefield. And to this day, there has never been a photograph or a painting or any type of artistry that was found before that predates the 1863 battle. So, for some reason, an artist who lived here in Gettysburg was standing on this rock in 1849, and he carved his name. And here we are, well over 150 years later, and that carving still stands here to a testament. It's one of the rare finds here at the Gettysburg National Military Park, one that's not really known that well of. And it sits on what we call the Elephant Rock. So if you're going south of where I'm focused on right now, about 100 yards, about the length of a football field, 100 yards south of what you're looking at in front of you, you'll find this Elephant Rock. Now from that position that we're looking at, if you look over here at this rock, it does look like a large elephant with a trunk. So that's why it's called the Elephant Rock. Again, this is the Elephant Rock with the David Forney 1849 carving here in the Devil's Den area of the Gettysburg National Military. Now on the Flag Rock, we're a little further south of Devil's Den. You can see Devil's Den in front of you, and then the Elephant Rock right there. This is the Flag Rock. The reason they call it the Flag Rock is it has two large American flags. Now they're very, very hard to see. One of them is right here. It's a large American flag. The second smaller one sits right here. And you can see the star field right here with the stripes, and then the pole. And then there's a carving that says UFS 1873. Now just next to this flag rock, in the distance, you see that rock over here, and that is part of the Gettysburg Quarry. A lot of the steps and monuments, bridge bases from the Gettysburg battlefield were quarried out of that quarry right there. That's the quarry rock. Of course, this is the Flag Rock. In the distance, we have the Elephant Rock, and then just to the north, Devil's Den. This is one of the secrets of the battlefield of Gettysburg, the Flag Rock here in the Devil's Den area of the Gettysburg National Military Park. I'm standing here on top of Devil's Den. We're looking into the Valley of Death area over here. And this morning I posted a video on John W. Tipton's house, which you can go back and watch that video. And in that video I mentioned that he carved his name in a rock here on Devil's Den, and we're going to take you to that site now. If you come to Devil's Den and you cross this little wooden footbridge here, you go across the footbridge and then up to this rock. You want to be careful in the wet weather because these rocks can be very slippery. You'll come over here and you will see J. Tipton carved into the rock right here. And of course this was missed by the government chiselers in 1896 as they began to chisel a lot of the graffiti on the rocks off, which you can see the remnants of the chisel marks today. But one that was either missed or carved afterward was J. Tipton, and that is the rock carving of John W. Tipton, who was the brother of William Tipton. He carved his name here in the rock near the top of Devil's Den, not far from the footbridge. This has been the John W. Tipton carving on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook. Then part 23 on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook, as well as Secrets of the Battlefield. And I'm here near Devil's Den. You can see in the distance the Table Rock, and as I turn over here you'll be able to see the 40th New York Monument and then Little Round Top in here in the distance. And this video is going to be on a little secret that not many people know about because they don't get the opportunity to stand where I'm standing. I'm here on an elevated area where the Crawford Avenue in the distance meets the road and comes up toward Little Round Top here. In our Gettysburg Electric Railway videos, we did videos where we came off around Devil's Den and shot right by this area. Now the Gettysburg Electric Railway went through this area, went right by where I'm standing, and then across the road. And if you remember, there was an accident that took place in the early 1900s right here on this road where a man standing on a fender of a car collided with a train. And if you didn't go back and watch those videos I did on the Gettysburg Electric Railway. Now, when they were building the tracks and the roadbed for the railway, they destroyed a lot of the original boulders that were standing here in the Devil's Den area, as they did when they built Crawford Avenue here. Destroyed the landscape that was here in 1863. The boulder that I'm standing on here was one such boulder that was about to be destroyed. It was being drilled, and this is the secret. If you're on this boulder today, you can still see where they were drilling the boulder over here, and then all the way down, and they were about to knock this piece off, and then of course up to here. Down near the bottom, right over here, there is a piece of a drill bit still stuck in the rock. So apparently this boulder was a pretty rough boulder to drill. It was breaking drill bits, and it was probably thought of not to continue taking this boulder down for the roadbed. So it was saved and salvaged, and it sits here today with its damage that probably goes back to 1892 to 1894, just before the railway was built. Not many people out here that come out to Devil's Den know about or get to see this rock because of its location. It sits in a really dense stickers and wild berries and these real rough trees. There's also a lot of ticks out here in the summertime. We're here in November, but come summertime, this whole area is just overgrown. I've been able to knock myself through a pathway here, and you can also come in through the drainage ditch over here to the side of the rock. But if you come over here today, you'll still see the remnants and a drill bit stuck in the rock here at Devil's Den. This has been Devil's Den Part 23 on Gettysburg Battlefield Facebook.